Well, good morning, boys and girls. It is Miss Morgan here tuning in for some Maniac Magee. Hopefully you're up and at it. I got up. I thought we're reading today because I missed yesterday, so I wanted to get going right away. Up early. Got my coffee. It's steaming hot. Don't even know if I can drink it without burning my mouth. Nope, too hot still. Too hot. I got Lenny back here. Don't know what he's doing, but hopefully it doesn't interrupt our video because we've got important things to read today. Got my my sweatshirt strings tied for Mr. Rush. I know he really appreciates that because you don't want him dunking in anybody's coffee. It's a great day to be alive today, folks. It's nice out. The weather's been warmer. Hopefully it stays nice and the rain stays away. I hope you're getting outside. I hope you're still chipping away at that packet. Hopefully you haven't finished that yet because it was 3 weeks worth of stuff, okay? And then I'm thinking about doing a live Kahoot. I know Mrs. Hendrick has done those on Facebook before, and I think how cool would that be to get all 5th graders at Northwest on a live Kahoot? Okay, so look for details coming up on that. Hopefully you've subscribed to Epic. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do. We're gonna chip away today at some more Maniac Magee. We finished off, the last thing we finished off wasn't yesterday, day before yesterday, finished chapter 32, which took us all the way into part 3. Okay, so we're on part 3 today. The last thing that really happened, just to recap, to jog those memories, Grayson died. Yeah, Grayson did die. It's a sad, sad part in this book, right? But bad things sometimes happen, so better things can kind of come together. So part 3 here, we're going to figure out what's going on with Maniac, what's going to go down with him, where's he going to live, what's he going to do. Grayson was his person, so we're gonna find out this morning. So sit back, get your slippers on and your jammies and your breakfast. If you're eating, get those headphones plugged in, turned up, crank them up. Here we go. Oh yeah, by the way, send Miss Morgan pictures if you guys are listening, tuning in with me, whether it's on iPad, iPhone, you name it. I love seeing pictures. I'll put you on blast on our Twitter. Love seeing it. Tune in. Love you guys. Miss you guys. Here we go. Okay, Miss Morgan, quit talking. I know. I always do that. You know, I tell you that I talk too much. Oh, and where'd I drop? Oh, I dropped the part, guys. This is ridiculous. Part 3. Chapter 33. January of that year was too cold and dry for snow. It was a month of frozen hardness of ice. Maniac drifted from hour to hour, day to day, alone with his memories, a stunned and solitary wanderer. He ate only to keep from starving, warmed his body only to keep it from freezing to death, and ran only because there was no reason to stop. Even if the superintendent had allowed it, he could not have brought himself to stay at the band shell. He returned only long enough to pick up a few things, a blanket, some non-perishable food, the glove, and as many books as he could squeeze into that old back satchel that had hauled Grayson's belongings around the minor leagues. Before he left for good, he got some paint and angrily brushed over the 101 on the door, that address that he gave himself. During the days he ran, usually a slow jog, but sometimes he would suddenly sprint, furious 10 or 20-second bursts as though trying to leave himself behind. Sometimes he walked, he crossed and recrossed the river, he wandered in all directions through all the surrounding communities, townships, Bridgeport, Cocoshawken, East Norriton, West Norriton, Jeffersonville, Plymouth, Worcester. Whenever he crossed the bridge over Schuylkill, he turned his eyes so not to see the nearby P&W trestle. Even so, in his mind's eye, he saw the red and yellow trolley careening over from the high track, plunging into the water, killing his parents over and over. After a while, he stopped crossing the bridge. Other than that, he went wherever there was room to go forward, along roads and alleys and railroad tracks, across fields and cemeteries and golf courses. From high above, a tracing of his routes would have looked as hopelessly tangled as cobbles now. By nightfall, he was back in 2 Mills. He would retrieve the satchel from wherever he had stashed it and to find a place to endure for the night. A few times he revisited the buffalo pen when he covered himself with a second blanket of straw. Other times, his overnight quarters might have been an abandoned car, an empty garage, or a basement stairwell. When his original food supply ran out, he fed himself at the zoo or at the soup kitchen downtown at the Salvation Army. He did odd jobs for housewives, ran errands for shopkeepers. He would not beg. One day he found himself along monuments and cannons and rolling hills. He was in Valley Forge. Here the Continental Army had suffered through a winter of their own, and the vast, stark, frozen desolation itself seemed a more proper monument than statues and stones. The only buildings here were tiny log and mortar cabins, replicas of the Army's shelter. Maniac could feel the ache swelling outward from his breast and filling this enormous bounding space. He returned to town for the satchel and put himself up in one of the cabins. It was scarcely bigger than a large dollhouse, and the floor was dirt. There was a doorway, but no door. Several saltines fell from the blanket. He threw them outside, let the birds have them. He wrapped himself in a blanket and lay down. He lay there all night and all the next day. Dreams pursued memories, courted and danced, and coupled with them became one, the gaunt, beseeching phantoms they called to him, the rag-wrapped feet of Washington's regulars and the faces of his mother and father, and Aunt Dot and Uncle Dan, and the Beals and Earl Grayson. In that bedeviled army, there would be no more recruits. No one else would orphan him. The second evening came and went. Maniac never stirred. Knowing it would not be fast or easy, and wanting, deserving nothing less, grimly, patiently, he waited for death. Big chapter here, right? Maniac's, he's lost it all. He's lost everything. And he said, no one else is going to orphan me, right? You become an orphan when you don't have parents, somebody to take care of you. And Grayson just died. So he feels really hopeless here. Should we keep reading? That was the end of the chapter. We'll pause. Just kidding. I can't leave you guys on that kind of chapter, okay? Chapter 34. We're going to see. Hopefully Maniac doesn't die. Chapter 34. It was during the second night in the cabin that he heard the little voices. They were not soldier voices. I'm going in this one. No, that one. This one's bigger. I'm tired. I'm stopping. You stupid meatballs right there. Another 2 seconds. I'm staying. Great, you beef jerky. Stay. I'm going to that one. Good night. Silence. Then, hold on, I'm coming. That was all. The ghostly soldiers returned, their haunted eyes seeking warmth, food, life. There was no morning, only daylight in the doorway. He pushed himself up, dragged himself outside into the blinding light. The saltines lay in the brown, frozen grass. The next cabin was nearby. January slipped an icy finger under his collar and down his back. He pulled the blanket tighter about himself, but it was too late. The finger had touched the last warm coal, and his hearth and his body, fanning the ember, shook itself violently. He walked to the next cabin, looked inside, and saw a body huddled in the corner. An eye open stared at him. Then, in succession, 3 more eyes opened. The body divided and became two little boys. Get a load of this, meatball, said the one with the front missing tooth. He walks around with a blanket on. Hey, meatball, why are you bringing your mattress along, too? And your pillow, too, screeched the other. Then Missing Tooth wiped off his woolen cap and smacked Screecher in the face. Screecher retaliated, and Maniac to step back while the two tornadoes swirled around the cabin. When they finished, they rolled onto their backs, shook their legs at the ceiling, and laughed as long as they had fought. The volume coming from Screecher was incredible, as though a microphone were embedded in his throat. Finally, Missing Tooth rediscovered the stranger standing in the doorway. Hey, meatball, you running away too? No, not really, Maniac replied. Well, we are, went Screecher. Where are you going? Maniac asked. The answer came from both. Mexico. Maniac bit back a grin. When they stood, he saw they couldn't have been more than 4 feet tall and 8 years old. Well, he said, it's good and warm down there, but it's pretty far, you know. Yeah, we know, growled Missing Tooth. You think we're meatballs like you. He grabbed a supermarket bag in the corner, opened it. Look! It was filled with candy, cupcakes, pies, even a pack of butterscotch crimpets. Maniac's stomach rasped itself. He remembered how thirsty he was. Where'd you get all this? We stole it, Screecher blurted. The other smacked him with his cap. Shut up, Piper, you stupid sausage. You don't go telling people you stole stuff. Piper returned the cap slap. You shut up, Russell. I didn't tell him where we stole it. This time the fight was over in less than a minute, but it started up again when Maniac asked where they were from. And Piper said 2 mills. And Russell said, shut up, he might be a cop, and bopped him good. When they settled down, they stared at him wearily. Piper snickered. He ain't no cop, he's a kid. Yeah, sneered Russell. That's how much you know. They got cops that look like kids. That's how they catch kids. They stared at him some more. They moved in cautiously, one on either side. They opened his blanket. They patted him all over. What are we doing this for? Piper wanted to know. We're feeling for a gun, Russell explained. Oh, after they patted, they backed off. So, said Russell, you ain't a cop. Not me, said Maniac. He moved in from the doorway. And with only a moment's pause, the story came to him. A pizza delivery boy. We have a contest every week, and you were chosen for free pizza. The two gaped at each other. We were? Yep, a large. Where is it? Demanded Russell, glancing around. At Cobble's Corner. You have 24 hours to claim your prize. He waited while they bickered over what to do. Valley Forge was a good 5 or 6 miles from 2 mills. These kids might not have made it to Mexico, but they'd come a long way and stayed out overnight, and someone somewhere must be worried sick about them, and he had a feeling they weren't kidding about stealing the food. He figured he'd better help them make up their minds. You know, he said, you're taking the long way to Mexico. If you come back to 2 mills with me, I'll show you the shortcut. He's trying to trick them into going home. They did it. Soon the 3 of them were trekking past the Washington Memorial Chapel, Russell and Piper with their bag, Maniac with his satchel. It was early afternoon when they walked to Cobble's Corner at Hector and Birch. Maniac produced a certificate for conquering Cobble's Knot, and 20 minutes later, the young'uns were runaways at attacking a large pizza with pepperoni. Maniac confined himself to 3 glasses of water and half a dozen crimpets. The boys agreed with Maniac that they ought to stay the night in their house before setting out for Mexico in the morning. They were barely a block from Cobble's when Maniac heard a familiar voice, bellowing and barreling down the street with some fastballer, king of the Cobras, Big John McNabb himself, and he was roaring mad. Remember John McNabb's the pitcher who was pitching to Maniac, and Maniac kept hitting his pitches and no one else could hit John McNabb's pitches, and he ran him out of town. Maniac might have taken off, but he found himself clung to and clutched to by the 2 little urchins. They huddled behind him like babies on a possum's back as Giant John came red-faced and huffing up to them. Where you been? He yelled. As Maniac considered what to say, the urchins peeped from behind him. We wasn't no place, John. We was right here with this kid here. And he ain't no cop either. We checked him out. For the first time, Giant John looked straight at Maniac. A smile crossed his face. Well, the frog man. The smile vanished. So what are you doing with my 2 little brothers? We will pause right there. End of chapter 34. We're on chapter 35. Maniac was very near death and met Piper and Russell. And they happened to be John McNabb's 2 little brothers. So we're going to see what happens next. Stay tuned in, remind, ask me questions, send me pictures. Make sure you guys are plugging in, chipping away, staying tuned in, and engaged. Keep those brains sharp so that when we do get back together, whenever that may be, that you're sharp and ready to go and finish out the year. I miss you guys a lot. I really do. I don't like being away from you guys. It's a weird thing that we're going through right now, but I know everything's going to be okay. This is temporary. We're going to make it through. Don't be scared. Stay safe. Stay inside. Washing your hands. Don't go out if you don't have to. And keep yourselves busy. I miss you guys. I love you guys. Have a great day. Change lives. Go Mounties.